What exactly is going on with the upcoming NFL 2K video game that we've been waiting on? I've got all the info for you, so let's get into it. As some of you may know, almost 2 years ago, the NFL and 2K struck a deal to release NFL licensed video games once again. The NFL and 2K are finally back in business together, which is something football gaming fans have been waiting for since NFL 2K5. That was the last true non-Madden NFL game that was released. So finally hearing that the NFL was back in business with 2K was a huge shock, but also much welcome news. It was said that 2K would be releasing not one, but multiple NFL licensed arcade style games, as EA does still technically have the exclusive rights to make NFL simulation games through 2026. But 2K ensured us that the games will have the same level of depth and authenticity that we've come to expect from them over the years, and the most recent update uncovered by Sports Gamers Online said that the gameplay was going to be developed to go up to the line of what constitutes simulation versus non-simulation, even if the game doesn't look exactly like a true simulation game, if that makes sense. Despite being arcade, this is still a true football game, one said. And while they'll surely release a game or two that's much more aimed at kids, there's definitely some wiggle room in there for something that blurs the lines a bit more for the older crowd, and that is what they are rumored to be releasing first. We actually got a bit of news not too long ago about one of the upcoming NFL arcade games, but we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the video. If you're new to the channel and you want to always stay updated on the upcoming NFL 2K game, as we're going to be getting a ton of news on this very soon, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss any of the important news when it drops. Now initially this NFL 2K game was supposed to be released in 2021, but 2K eventually told the NFL that the game simply wouldn't be ready in time and that it would be possible to do a launch during the holiday season, which would have been around November or December of 2021. But the problem here was the NFL didn't like the idea of releasing a game that late into the football season, especially not the first NFL game besides Madden in over 15 years. So that's when the first big pushback happened. The NFL didn't think they would be able to properly build hype and market the game in the middle of the football season. A lot of the casual gamers stopped playing Madden at the end of the NFL season, so to expect them to pick up a new game as the season was nearing its end just didn't make sense to the NFL. And that's the market they're going for with the arcade style game, the casual mass audience. They're trying to grow the NFL brand and expand to a younger audience. The NFL knows it has a problem with their audience age and are actively trying to get younger each year. Now, I actually think a holiday release could have worked very well because a lot of kids actually do get Madden for Christmas, and having a new game out during holiday time could have actually created a lot of hype. And in my opinion, being in the middle of the football season, what better way to build hype over a new game? You could literally run commercials during football games. I didn't really understand the NFL's thought process on this, but here we are. For some reason, the NFL feels as though if they can't launch the game at the start of the NFL season, they'd just rather it be pushed back. And for 2K, if they can't launch a game that they feel is ready, they too would rather push it back. I mean, they even did this with their WWE 2K game a year ago. The game was released in a horrible state one year, it had so many issues, and instead of just trying to patch it up and get a new game out again in a few months, they said, we're going to take a year off, and then they came back a year later with a much better product. Now here we are in 2022, halfway through the NFL season yet again, and holiday season is starting to get underway, yet we still have no NFL 2K video game. So if they said they could have gotten it out for last holiday season, but they didn't even get it out for the start of this football season, what's going on? Now 2K did come out recently, and they said that the game would likely be pushed back to 2023. Now maybe it could have been ready for this holiday season right now, but as we know, the NFL for some reason doesn't like that idea, so it looks like we're going to probably be getting it around next football season. Here's a quote from the Sports Gamers Online article. There's a lot going into this game, and they want it to be done the right way. If that means a longer development time, then that's what they're willing to do. They didn't even rule out a 2024 release, although I do think that's unlikely. They want to get this game out as soon as possible, and the NFL is applying pressure to make sure that happens. Again, this is their first shot at working with the NFL since 2004, and the last thing they want to do is drag this out and get everybody annoyed, but they also don't want to mess this up either, as this could lead to bigger things in a few years. 2K has been very quiet overall, only putting out little nuggets of info here and there that the average person would never stumble upon. Now, Now, if you're a current day 2K fan, you know that this isn't necessarily something to worry about. When it comes to their other games, they're known for being pretty last minute with information. NBA 2K fans are usually left in the dark until about a month before the game drops at best. But I will say, with this being the first NFL game in so long, and it being such an important, highly anticipated release, I would think they would want to get more info out as soon as possible. But with the little they have told us, they've actually said a lot if you've read between the lines. They're not going to release some mobile game or something like NBA 2K Playgrounds or WWE Battlegrounds, not for the first game. If they were, it would have been out by now. They've said in so many ways that this game is going to be so much more than just that. Now, they may release some of those other types of arcade games later on, including the Lego football game that they've recently announced, which could be pretty fun. But for the first NFL game in almost 20 years, they have to give fans something that can rival Madden. They said it was going to be deep, authentic to the game of football, and was going to go as far up to true simulation as they're allowed to by the NFL. It might not be 11 on 11, the player models might be a little more exaggerated, but if the gameplay and depth are on point, people will buy in. They're going to have a ton of support by default just based on the past NFL football games that they've given us already. And if they can drop something that is really fun with the limitations they have, the game will sell very well. And if the game does well, that means the NFL in a few short years could open the simulation license back up, and I think that's exactly what 2K's ultimate goal is, to get a shot at true simulation football once again. They have to prove themselves to the NFL, and that's exactly what they're going to do. That's why the game isn't out yet. That's why all the news we've heard is them saying all of the right things that we want to hear. They realize just how big this opportunity is, and they're not going to fail. There's also been some rumors and speculation about how EA might potentially not want to re-up the exclusive sim license after 2026 anyway, which kind of sounds unbelievable, but could actually be true. They recently walked away from the FIFA license because they didn't want to pay what they were asking, and they felt that they didn't need the FIFA license in order for their game to succeed going forward. Now, with an NFL game, they absolutely do need the license, but they may feel like they don't need exclusivity anymore. They've been the only game in town for such a long time. Many current football gamers don't even know that NFL 2K was ever even a thing. So they might feel like they have a big enough piece of the pie to not need exclusivity anymore, especially when you factor in how much they make off microtransactions now. Without having to pay the crazy sticker price for exclusivity, they could eventually lose some game sales to another company, but still actually be making more profit in the end without having to pay that crazy price to have the exclusive license. It's just something to think about, along with the fact that 2K is back in business with the NFL, and if they succeed, plus if EA actually were to feel this way, that's just even more reason that we could potentially see a 2K sim game in the near future. So with 2022 coming to an end and 2023 about to start up, we're going to be hearing a lot about this game very soon. I could almost guarantee it. I wouldn't even be surprised to see some type of a little mini hype trailer or something around the time of the Super Bowl. It would make perfect sense to start the hype nice and early as the season's ending and everybody who's a football fan is watching, throw a little something out there and get them ready for what's to come. And on top of that, we've also got some other really great news if you haven't heard by now. The NCAA college football video games are also coming back next year, and if you want to know more about that, you can check this video out right here on the screen.